The 5 W's of pre-selling your product, what you need to know about pre-sales. Hello, everyone. I'm Tessa with Idea Pros marketing team, and I am here with Fred Carey, and I'm going to let him come on in just a moment. But I'm going to say hi to you guys for a moment here. George, thank you so much for watching us over on YouTube. We are trying to, we have a couple of people actually. Cash, welcome. Kelly, Jamie. I know we have a lot of new people today, so I'm glad you guys are here. This is a really cool subject. I mean, I think all of our subjects are awesome, but pre-selling and really looking at the 5 W's and how to break down pre-selling. So welcome, Derek. I'm glad you're here in earnest. Good to see you. And today, Fred Carey, who is co-founder and executive chairman of Idea Pros, is with me. Welcome, Fred.
Hi, how are you? How are you? Thank you.
Well, I have to say this is a little bit of a precursor to our show. Both Fred and I are not feeling good today, so we are determined, we are very committed to our Friday lives, so we were going to be here no matter what. But bear with us because we're not our normal cheerful selves. And
I am my normal cheerful self. I just happen to have a cold. She's whiny like all the other young people.
Like, is it time for bed yet? But we wouldn't miss it for anything. So thank you guys all so much for being here. And we are going to dive into the topic. But before we get started, just do me a huge favor. And if we're talking about a topic here and something really stands out as a nugget, type nugget into the chat and then put what it was that really stuck for you, because we're actually going back and taking some of those comments and using them in little animations. So if something really, really stands out to you, let us know, please. It means a lot. So today, with the 5 W's of pre-selling your product, Fred, do you want to, I guess where we are going to start today is the why on those pre-selling W's. So why would an entrepreneur that has a product or an app is a little bit different in this situation, but why would they choose to pre-sell as opposed to getting a bunch of product?
Yeah, well, last week we hit the surface on all the different things you should be able to do when you're launching. Excuse me, I still feel good. And this one part of it is pre-selling. It used to be that an entrepreneur did not have this capability, that you would go out, you'd go through this entire process, you'd get everything together, you'd find your manufacturer, and you'd make your 10,000 widgets that have a great chance of just sitting there in your garage and not being sold. And when they are sold, you find out that there's all sorts of issues with them. People like one thing, they don't like another. The color that you decided to make them all is not something anybody wants. There are all sorts of issues that happen when you manufacture something ahead of time. Now, with the ability to pre-sell, you're basically doing two amazing things. Number one, you have an empty garage where you can put your car. And that is the result of being smart and being able to go out and listen to the consumer. And number two, you're letting your customers pay for your production, right? Most entrepreneurs don't have the capital to go out there and spend $50,000, spend $100,000, because it's not just buying product. You have to have the appropriate tools to manufacture the product. You have the shipping costs. You have the storage capabilities that you need to have in place. And if you do all that stuff ahead of time, you're going to be racking up the fees over and over again. So the why is basically find the right product that customers want and the customers are willing to pay for before a penny comes out of your pocket.
I think you talk a lot about really doing everything right and taking the time through every one of these steps. And so this is, again, just one of those parts of the bigger whole. And we teach throughout all of our lives. But you also mentioned that it's pretty hard for people to not want to skip this step of pre-sale because they want to get straight to, they want to push through it, and they really need to stop and kind of step back and figure out this step. So those partners who are at that phase, like, just simmer down and work on the pre-sales first.
Well, so, not just our partners, but there are a subset of our partners who actually went out and did it the other way. In fact, I've just gotten rid of 1,000 products that one of our partners came to us that already had them and couldn't do anything with them. I finally was able to give them away to a charity, but they were sitting, guess where, in my garage for a year because I agreed to take them when we became partners. And there's a perfect example of how getting to market too fast, wow, we did it, we got all these things, and then not being able to do anything with them. Why in the long run, you end up taking 5 or 6 steps backward when you're trying to move forward too quickly.
And was that a pivot? The product needed to change a little bit?
Yeah, it was not a major pivot, but it was a pivot. There were issues with the engineering of the existing product. There were certain very specific things that had to take place for it to work properly, and they were not engineered well. So basically, the entire inventory that was acquired before they came to us really had to be disposed of, and it had to be disposed of for free. Other than 2 of them, which one of our folks managed to sell for some reason.
Hey, that works. Well, and that's, I guess, the bigger question too, and one of our W's is, when does that actually happen? When would you do the pre-selling? Just because obviously, it's easy to get confused about all the steps in this product to market path.
Yeah. So, and this is the other hard part. People don't want to pre-sell. I want to go buy all my stuff. I want to get to market. I want to go on the Amazon store. I want to sell this. You should not be doing any of that. And you should not even be doing your pre-sale campaign until you've nurtured an audience. And what do I mean by that? You need to know who you're selling to, right? So you need to have your engineering done. You need to have your manufacturing lined up so you know what that product is going to look like, what it's going to be like, what it's going to be priced at. And you're going to start building around that. And you need to be building up a list of what these traits are that you believe people want. And only when you get to that point, you should start talking about pre-sales. And you can start it with little teasers, like Harry's Razors. I talked about Harry's Razors months ago, but they spent 11 months with teasers before they even did a pre-sale campaign. And you can win prizes, you can do all sorts of things for a long period of time, a little bit of information at a time to gather an audience. That we'll talk about that part next. But again, you don't start doing this until you know what you have and what it's going to cost you. And then if you try instead to cut that corner, you're going to end up in a scenario where maybe you're pre-selling something for $20 that's going to cost you $18 to manufacture after you figure that part out, or it's going to cost you $18 plus $3 to ship it. So you're not going to make that up in volume. So you really need to have all these components clearly established. You need to understand what you're doing before you go ahead and pull that trigger.
And you touched on the who, which is also one of our W's, which is getting really clear on your target audience. So we blended who and when together for you, and in true blending form, we're actually going to blend what and where as well.
There's a lot more to the who part of it.
Oh, okay. So we will. I'll let you. Oh, you added more. All right. Well, tell us more about how to get crystal clear on our target audience.
Part is part of what we do in the Idea Pros Launchpad. Another place that people hate to go, but is really necessary to find out what your audience looks like, who's interested in your product, right? And so I don't know if you don't probably need to pull up Idea Pros Launchpad now, but unless you want to, then you can. But in that Launchpad, we have ads that go out. We have ads that go out for the individual products. We have ads that go out for the Launchpad. We have ads that go out for different categories of products. And we start driving audiences to these different products, to our different pages. And we start looking for commonalities. Who's signing up? Who's given us their email address, but has shown a specific interest in this product. And what you're doing when you're gathering those lists is you're looking for commonality. You're looking for people that fit this persona of what you want as the target audience that you're going to have. And so as you start gathering these email lists, you can start determining with the analytics that Google has available and other analytical plans that are available, you can start figuring out who that audience is. What do they look like? You know, who are they? Are they men? Are they women? Are they young? Are they old? Is it a combination? It's a range. Do they have a certain amount of money? Do they live in certain areas? You can start gathering all this information so that you can start fine-tuning who is. So once you've established what they look like, now you can go look for them in other places too, not just from your own ads. You can do lookalike audiences on Facebook. You can go look at your competitors and see what they're selling, who they're selling to. Is there a similar audience there? You can find the hashtags that your competitors are using and look for audiences on Instagram that are responding to those same hashtags. So you can start reaching out to an audience that's much more targeted and get them much more interested in your campaign when you're ready to go. So it's all about taking whatever time there is to make sure that you have this big bucket of people that say, hey, I'd like to have that. That's kind of interesting. And don't launch before you have that. It's stupid. If you do that, you're going to fail. I guarantee it. You're going to fail. You have to have thousands of people that say they want to have this product before you even start thinking about pre-selling. Otherwise, you're just pre-selling out into the air.
Right. So there's a couple strategies, ways that you can build your list or get them into your system. That is what and the where that we wanted to talk about. So we'll dive into that next. Fred, if you're up for it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you need to either have a program that you're sophisticated enough to establish, or you need to go use programs that are available to you. One good one is Viral Loops. I recommend that. That's a program where you can build out your pre-launch campaigns. It has a whole series of different types that you can do. Oh, there it is. And so if you look at the templates, the featured templates, there's all sorts of different things that you can do. Giveaways, they have things for Shopify, refer a friend deals. You can have this kind of leadership board giveaway program. There's all sorts of different components there that really, they have the templates in place. All you got to do is import your email list, start running the campaign, and start pulling more and more people into it from your email gathering sides of it.
And Viral Loops is something that's on the website. It's not just an email. It's like a little widget on the website, right? So this piece goes on there so that you can start getting people. The other thing that I think Fred mentioned is that we want to get feedback from people. So one of the parts to this is that you can have like a little pop-up that asks what people are thinking about your products at the same time. So you can get a little bit more information. Yeah. Again, a website widget to find out what is on their mind.
Yeah, let me speak a little bit more on that, because that's really important. You don't want to just know what people have on their mind. You're looking for consistency. What happens if 20% of the people say, well, you know what, I'm kind of interested in that, and I like this giveaway. I'm going to maybe think about this referral program, but I really wish you had this in white instead of just gray. Now, let's suppose you got 40% of your audience saying, I really wish I had this in white. You haven't made anything yet. Go make it in white. You can answer people's dreams if you haven't made it yet. If you're talking about feature sets, let's suppose you have something that's going to cost you $40 to make, and you get a whole bunch of people saying, wow, that's really cool, but this widget component to it is not something that I ever see using. If you get enough commonality in there, even if it delays your launch for 3 months, 4 months, remove it. You've just reduced your cost. You're still going to sell it for the same price. You've increased your margins. So the beauty of getting feedback is not only hearing people how wonderful you are and how great your product is. What's even more important is understanding what people don't like or what people wish they had that wasn't there. That way, because you haven't manufactured it yet, because your manufacturer is your partner waiting for you, you can make a whole bunch of changes before that final product goes out. And by the way, it can be part of an announcement. Hey, folks, we listened. You wanted this. It's coming. now we're going to launch June 1st instead of May 15th, but it's everything that you wanted. So there's a ton of great information that you can get in there to help you with that. And when you're talking about that one where, you're always also talking about social media and email lists, and you can get email lists from people who have synergistic products to yours that you might want to set up partnerships with. You can find them in a lot of different ways. Don't just go get some random list though. That'll kill you. But if you can find a list of people that are opting in for products like what you are going to offer, that's really big. And you have to be able to nurture those people over time. You don't just collect somebody's email address and sit there. You have to collect their email address. You have to nurture them. Every week you should have something going out. This is the headway we've made. We've had 500% increase in people who are interested in this product, and then you can start using the scarcity of the product. My daughter just showed up. Hey, Gabby.
Hi, Gabby.
You can use the scarcity of the product to be able to drive even more traffic. Why? Hey, we're sold out. We have no more space right now. You want to get on the waiting list? You want to reserve space for the next batch that we're going to have? Let's go ahead and take your name down. There's another thing a friend of mine does who has a very successful company that we're going to be partnering with. He asks people for $1. And you think about that, $1 is nothing, right? But it's huge. Why is it huge? Because somebody has to pull out their wallet, take it apart, or your purse or whatever, get out the credit card, put in the numbers, and make a commitment. Purchase $1. That person is going to be much more likely to convert when you have your product than somebody who is already just on there on the list and let me know when you're actually able to take my money, right? So you take $1, you reserve your space, and by the way, when we start our pre-sale, we're going to be doing it for 30% off. But if you're one of these reserved people, you're going to get another 5% off, and you're going to get the first 1,000 units that come out. So it's all about keeping your audience interested. And so the things that we do with Launchpad manages to do that. We're keeping this drip, drip, drip going over time, getting people to not only be interested, but to stay interested. And now when you're ready to pre-sell, you hit your whole list out and your returns should be a lot better than they otherwise would be.
So I do know that we're using a tactic on Launchpad. And if everyone does not know about this yet, we do have contests that we run to get people into the mailing list and to get them into the interested bucket. So if that's something that you think you can do or want to do, it would apply to your situation, then you can do a contest and see who wants the product before it goes. But it's this fine line because you can't do it too early. You have to be really close. And I know we mentioned, I just want to kind of go back to this. It's after you've completed your engineering and manufacturing and you have that all lined up. You know what it's going to cost to go to market, and you're far enough along that someone else isn't going to come scoop up underneath you and take off with it. So make sure that you're doing it at the right time. One thing that we have a question. This is a really, really valid question, and my obligation to our app people is to bring it back to this too. Does pre-selling concepts work or apply to app-based concepts? And so I don't want to derail you too much, but I think it's a really relevant thing for us to talk about. Thank you, Martin, for that question.
Not in the same sense as you would be, where you're getting somebody to actually pay for something ahead of time, because most apps are free, right? And if it's not a free app, it's a freemium app where you have a capacity that is free, and then if people want these extra features, they can pay $1.99 or $3.99 a month, or whatever happens. A dating app, they might pay $20 a month, whatever the case may be. But you're not going to be able to pre-sell. What you can do is get a whole lot of traction by inviting people to become beta testers.
Betas, yep.
So when you get, and in fact, on our Launchpad, we're in the middle of developing a page that's only going to be for, excuse me, for apps, and it's going to do exactly that. Get people to come in, beta test it, download it. Hey, by the way, if you give it to 5 of your friends and they download it, you're entered into this contest, right? So you can do the same sorts of things as when you're getting ready to do pre-sales, all right? Because we talked about the pre-sale, but the pre-sale is just at the very end. My doors are open, buy this product, I'm going to deliver it to you in 90 days, 120 days, whatever. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But there's this whole series of things that are done for months before that pre-sale actually takes place. Right? We've been focusing on the pre-sale and then delivery. There's a whole lot of stuff that happens, and all that stuff can apply to apps as well. You gather an audience, you gather interest, you get people that talking about it. Mint, I think the financial app Mint, they were very, very successful. And so they had something like 1 million people interested in this app before it was even available for download. So you're pre-selling, but not for money, right? You're pre-selling for downloads. You want to have people who are interested, who are spreading the word, who are talking about it. So you do that with prizes. You do that with finding people who would love this app. We have several apps that are very deep vertical apps that if you are someone who's passionate about this subject, you're going to want this app, period, because there's nothing out there like it. And so informing those people that that app is on the way is a really great way to get them to sign up. I want to, even before you're ready for beta testing, I want to know when it's available for beta testing. I want to be one of your beta testers. I want to tell the world about this because it's something that I really need and all of my buddies need as well. And so you can do those things. And there's another cool thing you can do as well. If you have a freemium app, something that somebody's going to pay $2.99 if they go over a certain level, you can offer those people, you're going to have that for free, either for a lifetime, either for a year. Everybody else is going to be paying $3 a month. It's yours. You are a permanent member. You're part of my founding group. And another thing with apps is there's a little not often seen about us sort of component to it, where a lot of apps will list, these are the engineers, the designers that made this all happen, the people that were involved. You can also set up something where these are the first 1,000 beta testers who came on, who are the founding members who made this app possible. And their name will be on there, hopefully forever, because you're going to keep that app going and being successful until you get acquired. And so that's something that people love too. The same thing with some of these crowdfunding websites like Kickstarter. People don't go on there to buy a product or because of a brand new product. They go on there because they want to be part of something. They want to be part of the creative process. We have one of the guys that works here he's coming close to 50 products that he has paid for over the last year. He will never say, I bought a cup, or I bought a new mouse, or I bought this. I helped fund so-and-so. And that's the mindset. So if you can get people really interested in what you're doing, interested in you as an entrepreneur and wanting to see you succeed, and all they have to do is download something and share it with their friends and let you know what's wrong with it, have a voice to you, that's really powerful. And you should be able to get a whole lot of people to do that. So yes, you can pre-sell. No, it's not about the money, but it's about the downloads.
Right. And I don't know if you guys, we have a lot of the same people who were on last week, but a lot of new ones too. So what we are doing is going through a set of topics that we laid out for after you've got your product ready and you're launching. So the whole next few weeks have to do with that. And one, Fred mentioned crowdfunding, and that is one of the topics that we have coming up. So if you missed last week, go back and watch it. That's the high level, and then we're going to dive into all those as well. So thank you all so much. I don't know, Fred, if you need to leave us with any final thought on this topic, but I know we've talked a lot, and I don't want to keep you any longer.
Yeah, there are a ton of resources out there to help you. Don't try to do it alone. It just doesn't work. And crowdfunding that we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks is a perfect example. Over 70% of crowdfunding campaigns fail. They don't raise one penny. And I think the average for the other 30%, you see all these $1 million here, $2 million there, the average is $10,000. And that's because people try to go it alone and they don't understand all of the difficult components involved in making something a success. And all of that happens with your marketing, your strategic marketing. You know, who are my competitors? How am I going to kick their butts? And your marketing communications. How am I going to make you want my Starbucks coffee instead of that 7-Eleven coffee that you can get 3 times more of for a third of the price, right? So how do you communicate to the world what you have and what you need to do to make people want it? That is the critical component of all these things that we're going to be talking about. If you don't understand that intimately, don't be afraid to get help. And there's a lot of help online. Partners like us are hard to get because we have a lot of people applying and we can't possibly work with them all. And this is part of why we do these shows. A lot of our partners come on and listen anyway because it's education. But people who can't afford to partner with us can still learn a lot here. And it's important to go armed with knowledge. Don't think you know everything because you don't know what's out there. It's a scary world out there, and that world takes no prisoners. So don't be a prisoner, be successful.
And keep watching our lives so you can be educated. Thank you guys all so much. I know we had a lot of people, Ruben, Sean, Karen, Marty, Mitchell, Reem, Jesse, lots of people. Eclipse, I see that you got your Steve Brown got his email or his social media account all set up. Good job. James, Odin, Inde, Derek, Chris, Ernest. I mean, the list is long. Aziza popped in actually just right at the end. So thank you, Aziza. And you had a great question, Aziza, and I'm going to let Fred cover that one and take a look at it on another show for sure. But I thank you guys so much. And if you, you have a couple seconds after, you don't have to leave the page. Let us know what your biggest takeaway from today was. Just type in a nugget and what really stood out for you. And we will see you guys all next Friday at noon Pacific time, hopefully be in a lot better condition ourselves.
I'm fine.
He's fine. He's fine. I'm the one who's falling apart. Thank you guys all so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.